Whether you will end up liking my recommendation or not highly depends on what you like about ORV in the first place. So it's not a guarantee that you will enjoy the series which I will be suggesting to you in this video, but I think there's a huge chance at least. I have grouped the list of similarities between ORV and the other webtoon into 4 categories. We'll start with their main similarities, like with the plot and setting, followed by the characters in general, and then the special relationship between the main character and a certain someone. Then lastly, things that are related to the main character. There are so many for the last one, so it's further divided into these 5 subcategories. I'll be elaborating them when we reach there. Now, let's begin. In regards to the story, the setting, and the world building, ORV and this other webtoon have many similarities with other action fantasy manhwa, but what's existing between the two, which are quite uncommon in others, are the following. The events happening in the 2 series are based on a fantasy novel. On Dokju's case, his favorite web novel became reality, while on the other webtoon's MC's case, he was transmigrated into his favorite novel. As readers, the main characters know the future events of their current world. For the future not to change, or for them to be able to know what happens in the future, they need to make sure certain events will still happen so that the future won't change. However, they also need to make changes to the story in order to survive. The changes that they make, though, sometimes complicate things. Since they're not exactly among the main characters in their novel's world, their chance for survival is quite slim. But as they work hard using their abilities, they end up outshining the original protagonist even, making them the new protagonist. The reader MCs meet the novel protagonist, and the beginning of their relationship was a bit complicated at first, but eventually they become very close comrades. The MC is being treated like a king by some characters, and they have at least one extremely loyal subordinate who is an excellent fighter and a very fierce bodyguard. But even though that guy can be frightening in front of enemies, he's a sparkling gentle puppy in front of the MC. Majority of the characters here are a mix of good and evil. The novel protagonist of both webtoons is a nice example. They are depicted as heroes, but they are also murderous psychopaths that can kill lots of people in a blink. Both webtoons aren't heavy on gore, and there isn't as many battles compared to other webtoons, but there are still quite a number of pretty gruesome scenes. In their universe, they fight against monsters, but they can also have monsters on their side. Although combat skills are needed to survive, non-combat skills are not underestimated in both webtoons. But both webtoons are not romance-centric at all. Fans can ship all they want. Besides, some scenes are pretty fruity, but still, there's no romance. As for the other characters, here are some things that are so great about the 2 series. Normally, it's the MC who is overpowered, but in these webtoons, the other characters are more overpowered than the MC. It's official. Female characters aren't portrayed as useless or objects on neither webtoon as well. They are among the overpowered characters even. Anyone can be remarkable or intimidating regardless of age. There's an old guy in the other webtoon who is actually so dangerous that the main character is more afraid of him compared to the novel protagonist, who was acting like a killing machine. The spotlight is mainly on the main character, of course, but the characters get to have their moments too. Thanks to that, there's naturally character development as well. There's growth even to already overpowered characters. Although they do rely on the MC for his knowledge and guidance, they are not too dependent on him. They are attracted to the MC not only because they need him, but they genuinely adore him. Because of the MC's personality though, other characters can't help but love and get annoyed with him at the same time. Some of the characters have even developed a split personality. It's also scary when they appear harmless at first impression, but actually have a creepy side. Most of the time, they are very protective towards the MC, sometimes to the extremes. Like many shonen series, the main character and a certain someone have some special friendship. So, regarding the special duo of these two webtoons, they argue even over little things. But they work together surprisingly well. They are much stronger together even. They are such a perfect support for each other. They're pretty much like soulmates. After all, they also know and understand each other better than the others. They can easily determine what the other is thinking. On the other webtoon, they are actually known to think so alike that they had officially considered each other as sworn brothers. Their interactions are so special and sometimes intimate. And that's making a lot of fans having a hard time believing that the series isn't boys' love. This is a bit spoilery, especially on the other webtoon, but both of these guys have pretended to have another name. And it's quite amusing. Now, for the last category, there are seriously so many similarities between the main characters of the two webtoons. So, for me not to take forever, I tried to list down their similarities as briefly as possible. Alright, let's start with the first subgroup. So, as the main character of their respective webtoons, they have some special and remarkable talent. They both have an overpowered skill exclusive to them. On the other webtoon's case, it's not through some system, but through a magical item he attained. And since they have read the novel, they have this advantage of knowing what the other characters are capable of. Although their knowledge is helpful in taking shortcuts on a lot of things, they are still a natural scammer who mischievously deceives other characters. Of course, they are successful in fooling others thanks to their talent in acting. Some characters notice how fake they are, but they still get away with it anyway. You cannot underestimate the main character's wits. Although they attained it in different ways, both of them have the advantage of knowing what happens in the future. Since they will know what they need to prepare in advance, they are the ones with a plan. Because of that, they naturally act as the leader or commander of the group. But even without knowing the future, they are still very intelligent. They can outsmart other characters and won't easily be fooled either. Even if they have become wealthy, they still work hard to earn more. But they don't hesitate to spend if it's for the sake of the plan. The main characters of both webtoons have a group of close friends whom they treat as family. They are pretty much like the father of the group, sometimes like a mother even. They also have actual children in their group, at least one boy and one girl. They both have a child whom they officially adopted in some way. There's also a cute creature that looks like their pet, but they actually consider it as their child. In the ORV webtoon, Dokja's special creature hasn't appeared yet though, at least during the time when this video was released, but it should show up sometime soon. The loving main characters treasure their important people so much that everyone else to them is second or low priority. including themselves, unfortunately. Anyway, if others mess with them or their family, the MCs of both webtoons can be very angry and unforgiving. They are quite patient but also cold when taking revenge. Although they are physically weaker than their comrades, they protect their loved ones in the ways that they could. And sometimes it's too much. They will do anything for their loved ones. They would even go as far as sacrificing themselves for them. So, if the MC says something, like they will not do something dangerous, they cannot be trusted. After all, if there's trouble, everyone knows that the MC is involved in it somehow. Everyone also knows how much the other characters care about these crazy MCs, but these idiots are too dense to even notice. And that makes their family and friends, who are fiercely loyal to them, so frustrated. Other similarities between the MCs of the two webtoons are the following. They are both South Koreans that have a Kim surname. They both love reading and treasure a particular fantasy novel. On the other webtoon's case, since he liked it so much, he even had it memorized. They didn't exactly have a relaxed and carefree life in the past. They're quite lonely characters. Moreover, they see themselves too weak compared to others. No thanks to that, they belittle themselves so much that they don't even value their lives, even though they don't want to die. They might appear strong or fearless at times, but deep inside, they also have complicated feelings. They can break down anytime. But even with all the hardship and insecurities, they work hard for something they wish for, and it's not something grand at all. On the other webtoon's case, he just wants to have a slacker life. Well, that may sound like a joke, but he's very serious about it. If you have already read the webtoon I'm about to suggest, you will definitely already know what I'm talking about from the last point I mentioned. Without further ado, I'll now reveal the title of the other webtoon, and it's called Lout of Count's Family. It's also known as Trash of the Count's Family. Both Omniscient Reader and Lout of Count's Family are adapted from popular web novels. Although they are both action fantasy South Korean series, they have a unique twist to the common tropes, and their stories are generally very different from the rest. They both have this sort of power fantasy wherein the reader gets an opportunity to live in their favorite novel's world. There are so many amazing things in both series that it's no wonder it can appeal to a lot of fans, both male and female. The main characters build a special relationship with the characters in that novel. Interestingly, some of those characters have some sort of connection to them in the real world. Speaking of the MCs, these two are actually part of the infamous web novel or manhwa Holy Trinity. In case you are not familiar with it, I'll be explaining that in another video. And as what was listed earlier, the things common between the two series make them more interesting and impressive compared to the rest. Because of that, if you are a fan of Omniscient Reader, there's a really high chance that you would enjoy reading Lout of Count's Family too. You can read Lout of Count's Family in various platforms. There's Coppin Comics, Tapitoon, Pocket Comics, and the latest which had acquired it was Bilibili. So hurry and join the fandom. But of course, like what I had said earlier in the video, it's not a guarantee that you will like Lout of Count's Family since people have different preferences, and that's totally fine. I've been making other videos recommending other webtoons that a fellow ORV fan might like, so you might discover a new webtoon to read from those instead. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Take care.